Good morning, Western Washington, and happy Friday. I'm Matthew Fab with Western Washington Weather, and we've got a lot to talk about today with a significant storm offshore that will bring some strong impacts to parts of Western Washington. So starting here with the satellite imagery right now, you can see this storm swirling offshore here is relatively, you can say its location's about off of the Washington-Oregon border, pretty far out to sea there, and you can see this storm is moving up toward Vancouver Island, so it's going to stay offshore of Western Washington, but it is going to bring some impacts. You can see that swirl in the clouds. This storm's starting to look pretty nice. So here you can take a look at the radar. You can see we have this storm spreading some rain up into Western Washington as of right now, and you can see some breaks in the rain on the coast, some steady rain at times in the lowlands. We should have some rain over the next 24 hours with this storm. So taking a look at the European model forecast here, you can see the storm is about exactly as modeled right now off the Washington-Oregon border. You can see it deepening as we go into tonight, kind of winding up into this tightly wound low there that's going to move right up into central Vancouver Island with the central pressure around 979 millibars. That's a decent storm for this area, and that's a pretty low pressure. You can see it's going to generate a pressure gradient along the coast there in the northwest interior, and even potentially a little bit of a lee low downstream of the Olympic Mountains there to the north of the Olympics, which could bring some enhanced winds across parts of the northwest interior. And then you can see as we go through Saturday, the storm weakens and moves into British Columbia there. Taking a look at precipitation here, you can see this storm spreads rain through the area today, and that continues turning a little bit more showery tonight, with then the front moves through as the storm arrives on the coast there. And you can see we have showers continuing through Saturday before our next frontal system moves into the area by early Monday. They're bringing more rain and mountain snow. So now let's take a look at what will probably be the biggest impact with this storm is winds here. This is the European model, and as we play this through today, you can see 10 p.m. we have some winds starting to increase across parts of the northwest interior. And then overnight by 4 a.m. we have winds gusting 40 miles an hour from Whidbey Island northward there. And on the coast here, between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. we have winds starting to gust pretty strong, with gusts of 55 to 60 miles an hour along the coast. And that continues through around 10 a.m. there. And then you can see the strong winds in the interior happening early Saturday morning, with gusts of 40 to 45 miles an hour from Everett southward through Olympia, and then gusts of 50 miles per hour plus from Everett northward in the northwest interior. There potential for gusts to 60 miles an hour for Whidbey Island, Bellingham, San Juans, and those areas. And you can see those winds should subside probably by about Saturday afternoon, but this is what we're looking at here. Taking a look at it on a higher resolution forecast, we played this through on the high resolution rapid refresh model, and you can see it agrees with those peak winds on Saturday morning there, but it shows some more widespread strong winds here. You can see the coast gusting 50 to 60 miles an hour, potentially 65 plus miles an hour for areas like La Push and Neah Bay. So that could be something to watch here. And then you can see, if we zoom in here on Western Washington into Puget Sound there, the high-resolution rapid refresh model does have some stronger wind gusts here, with gusts of 45 to 50 miles an hour for areas from Everett southward through Olympia and down toward Portland. And then you can see gusts of 50 to 55 miles an hour for parts of Puget Sound up toward Everett and Camano Island. This is probably a little bit overdone. I doubt that winds will get 50 plus from Seattle up to Everett there, but from Everett northward, the high-resolution rapid refresh model here shows gusts of 50 to 60 miles per hour, 60 in Bellingham and in the San Juans, and parts of Admiralty Inlet as well, and potentially some downslope winds there, parts of the Olympics. So this could be a dynamic storm for some wind gusts, especially from Seattle northward there, though don't rule out gusts of 40 plus miles an hour in the lowlands. This could cause some power outages and some downed trees, especially in those areas with gusts of 50 plus miles an hour. So that is something to be aware of, and make sure you're prepared for winds like that, especially early Saturday morning. So the other thing that this storm will be producing is big waves, because we have a deep storm with low pressure right offshore. It's going to generate some big waves, and those waves are going to move toward the coast. On Saturday there, you can see big waves peaking at upwards of 40 feet, and these maximum wave heights in there. So this is not all the waves being at that height, but these are the highest waves in the storm at 40 to 50 feet right offshore there as we go through Saturday before that diminishes. But take a look at the actual wave height. So this is the average wave height out of all of the waves, and you're looking at 20 to 30 foot breakers moving into the Washington coast. and parts of the Oregon coast as well. That is significant. That can cause beach erosion, that can bring logs up onto jetties and stuff like that. And we're going to be dealing with king tides this weekend. And in addition to the low pressure and the king tides, we're looking at a lot of coastal flooding for most of the Washington coast, potentially up to 3 feet of water above the high tide line. And then you're also going to be looking at some potential coastal flooding in the Puget Sound as well, with not because of the winds or the big waves, but because of the low pressure driving up those tides, though the winds will likely play a part in bringing some king tide flooding to areas that are exposed to the southwest winds. So here, this is just a graphic of what happens with the king tide when you have a new moon or a full moon, and the moon is in alignment with the sun, and the moon is closest to the Earth in its monthly orbit. Then you get these higher than normal tides, and it's called a spring tide or king tide, and it happens a couple times each year, and this time it just happens to line up with quite a storm off the Washington coast. So one other thing with this storm here, we're going to have a potential for some lightning. This is a pretty low chance, but you can see chance of lightning at times on the coast tomorrow, especially Saturday afternoon there, and then Saturday evening it's showing a convergence zone potentially here with some lightning over parts of Whidbey Island and Snohomish County there. So that's something to be aware of. That thunderstorm chance diminishes by early Sunday morning. Taking a look at rain, this storm won't produce too much, about a ½ inch to 1 inch on the coast, and about a third of an inch to about a half of an inch for most of the lowlands, up to an inch for the Kitsap Peninsula there. And then if we take a look at snow in the mountains, you can see the passes won't get too much out of this storm, likely 4 to 8 inches at Snoqualmie, Stevens, and White Passes there, and some of the higher ski areas and Paradise and Mount Baker stuff could get some more up toward a foot of snow, but not too impactful in terms of snow. Just be prepared for some brief winter driving conditions over the passes. And as always, you can follow me on all these different social media accounts here. YouTube, you're watching that right now. You can join my Western Washington Weather Facebook group. You can follow me on Blue Sky, and you can follow me on X or Twitter here. And I will actually be out chasing this storm with some other weather folks here in Western Washington. We'll be out in the La Push area for the wind and the waves. So stay tuned to Facebook, Twitter, and Blue Sky for updates on that. You can find links to all of those in the description. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in my updates on social media.